Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's the Full 40 with Chris, Willie, and Trevor, part of the Nova Insider Network, and brought to you by Home Field Apparel. I don't know if you guys saw the big drop today, but Home Field just released. They are putting out, remember, the 5th of November, the Home Field jacket drop. Okay, we're getting a Villanova jacket.
Do you think it's gonna be like a bomber jacket?
It's whatever it is.
That's what I asked for. So I think if you go back to when we first talked about Home Field, I said I wanted a jacket. Take my money. I can't wait to give it to them.
Yes, you're gonna have to give it to them.
Yeah,
because it's there. You go. You asked for it,
and I'm gonna get 15% off because I'm using our code.
Love
New
that
email. 15% off, baby.
I have no idea, no advance notice what it was gonna look like. We had advance notice when these things popped out, so I was like, kind of excited about having advance notice, so I might have to talk to Home Field, see if I can get a little early sneak peek. I
mean, if it's anything like their other bomber jackets, like I think we're in for something good.
I'm not worried. It's hard to screw up. It's kind of hard to screw that up, I think.
So again, 15% off code full 40.
And promo code's full 40, and get in there, order. It's also the holidays, so order for your mom, your dad, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever. Get in there, order a size up, do whatever you got to do, get it out there. Hopefully we'll get it shipped to you, and get these jackets before they fall off the shelves.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up. If anybody wants to spend their money, so I don't have to, but I won't hold it against you if you don't. But yeah, that would be great.
Trevor, is your mustache getting a jacket?
My mustache is here for charity. Also, I'll drop something about that at the end of the show. If anybody wants to DM me money for that, I'll take that. It's November 1st. We're in the mix with Movember. I opted to shave the beard instead of just trying to grow the mustache from scratch, so I'm kind of cheating. But I have some conferences coming up. I didn't want to look like a total idiot. So I'm just half idiot these days.
You're doing a good job of that.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Movember is the 10, other than the giving to charity and all that great stuff, but the 10 days in the beginning of Movember when people are growing mustaches and every single person looks like they might commit a crime. So that's definitely better that you chose the route.
I wanted to fast forward to definitely is going to commit a crime. And that crime will probably take place if somehow we drop the home opener against American.
Yeah, that's a great segue. Terrific segue. So I don't know if Brian will actually do this, but the title that I suggested for this episode is that we're anti-American, which
honestly,
is an accurate statement.
Finally, I get to speak on it. I don't want to get clipped.
I think it's too late.
I'm in for that for sure.
Yeah. Willie said what he said. But that's it's coming. We have a weekend, daylight savings time, so don't fucking mess that up. Get your clocks right.
Which also at this stage, you don't need to do anything. All your clocks that you have likely will just reset themselves. Your Apple Watch, if you're still using analog clocks in this day and age, I don't know, who are you?
Or if you drive a car or anything.
Microwave, oven.
If you're using your microwave to tell you key time events, you're already too far gone. If your microphones would get you out the door to work, or microwave, sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
But what if you have a coffee maker and the coffee maker has a time set? You could just miss coffee.
I'm sorry, you freaking what's this guy? Ebenezer Scrooge, not Scrooge. Scrooge McDuck. You were billionaire.
Fair enough.
Time set coffee makers.
Whatever. We're talking about basketball. So Jesus. American.
Got you all off balance.
Yeah, I'm so fucked up right now.
So we're anti-American.
We're anti-American. We're playing them on Monday. The season starts on Monday. Yep. It's really actually here. I was thinking about this the other day too. How did we survive in that COVID year when we didn't have March Madness? And then we went 6 straight months with 0 college hoops, and then they brought it back right after Thanksgiving. How did we do that? I don't even know how we survived that year.
I got through it with I have DVD copies of the 2016 and 2018 title runs, and I spent COVID at my parents' house, and every now and then my dad would just walk in
dad would walk in and cut off his.
His dad would walk in and pull the plug on his
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Is what
Yeah.
he did. Like,
Dude,
got in
that is
trouble.
the best. Like I'm on edge of my seat right now. What did his dad do to him?
No, we'll find out from Trevor later
Yeah.
what his dad did. But
I survived it, like, honestly, but actually what's hilarious is like doing a lot of the same things Trevor is doing. I have the 2016, 2018 DVDs. I would watch those. I watched a lot of like random clips. Like I was watching like Justin Moore clips. I was just everything being like, what are we gonna do? And then I played a lot of NCAA football 14 on the Xbox. So that's how I got through it. And then next thing I know, we're playing Boston College was the first game. And I'm like, oh, we're back. And Boston College was the first game. It would be Arizona State in the next game. And then lost to Virginia Tech.
all right, so it's the full 40 with Chris and Willie.
Yeah, we got rid of Trevor.
Yeah, he's done. Cooked. But anyway, so they did. The only thing I could think of then is that CBS replayed some like big championship games. I remember rewatching 1985's championship game, 2016 championship game. I don't remember watching 2018, probably because it wasn't that exciting of like a replay.
No, it's Dante
but-
dropping 31.
Yeah, but 1985 and 2016 definitely got played. So I guess there was a couple things that were going on during that time. Trevor apparently is back, but he's in the waiting room.
The pain of losing the 2020 tournament is like
West Virginia. He'd say, "Do you want to watch West Virginia?" We're continuing. I know we were fine last episode, but we are continuing a streak of me dropping out at the most inopportune moment when trying to tell a personal anecdote.
No free ads, but like, who's your Wi-Fi? Like, who do you use?
I'm trapped with my Wi-Fi situation. It's a building thing. I'm in the city of Philadelphia, and believe it or not, I can't use Xfinity. I have to use Verizon. So I do not have a choice. It just is what it is. It's usually pretty good, but you know,
we're anti-American or anti-Verizon. But Verizon, if you want to sponsor the podcast, reach my DMs. We'll talk.
Yeah. I'm on Verizon Fios, and I'm doing okay at the moment. But if I cut out, then it's definitely Verizon's fault. All right. So Willie, why don't you talk about our friends from the District of Columbia who belong to the Patriot League?
Yeah. So today on Monday, we're playing the American Eagles. American is part of the Patriot League. They have a new head coach, Coach Simpkins. They are, how do I describe?
Their mascot is a pair of jeans.
Their mascot is a pair of jeans, American Eagles. They have they're a bit of like a older team. They have like older guards. They are kind of old and big across the front line, or big, I shouldn't say. They're just old across the front line, but like they have lost a lot of production. And they also like just don't have that many they don't have that many dudes. They have their leading scorer from last year, Matt Rogers, is returning. He's a senior. He can step out, hit the three, average like 14 and 6, 14 and 7. So it's a new coach. I honestly don't know much about Coach Simpkins. I don't know what his kind of presence is. I know Coach, he is from the DMV area, so hopefully American is going to like pick up some good players down the road. But like we're looking at a team here that's like they're old up top, and then they have like some, in theory, good freshmen, but we're going to see what kind of rocks with them. Their player to watch out would be Matt Rogers, as I mentioned, 6'9" senior. They also have a transfer from Loyola Maryland, and Nick Marshall, who like played a little bit of minutes there, but like isn't like that big of a guy, to be very honest. So they lost a lot of things. It was a team that went went 17 and 15 last year. I don't see them being much better. They're also learning a brand new style. I can't tell. I don't know what Coach Simpkins is going to do, but like it's going to be brand new to them, and they're going to be playing a very old, a very experienced Villanova team. Even though the Villanova team is also learning a new style, it's just like a little bit different. And then also the American doesn't have Justin Moore or Eric Dixon on their team, so it's going to be an adjustment for them. This isn't like 2009. And what's that guy's name? There's a guy I know. who was playing.
You froze for a second, and I
You
was
did
like,
freeze
"Oh
for a
no,
second.
he's
I was like,
next."
oh no.
Oh,
Here it goes.
Verizon cut my vine.
Yeah.
But so it's a good American team, or of young or old American team that I think is going to be a little bit like wet behind the ears in terms of with the new coach. I don't really think there's going to be like much of a challenge, I say, but they'll be a cool team to kind of watch. I'm more interested in them a little bit more long term, especially as like Coach Simpkins is able to kind of get involved more in the DMV recruiting. But we're not playing them at home or at their house. We're playing them at home. We should be fine to kind of roll through American. And if we don't roll through American, then we can have a larger conversation about that.
What does the Ken Palm say?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's worth noting that this is an American team that took down the mighty Georgetown last year.
That is true.
So let's bring our orange shoes and our game faces and be ready for this.
Preseason
Something
Ken
we almost
Palm,
did not do.
Their Ken Palm preseason 379, or 279, sorry, not 379. So it would be a bad loss. Just gonna put that out there. It would be a bad loss. Hold on, if I log into
Ken Palm has us as 22-point favorites and 98% chance to win.
I would like to double
Tell me
down
there's
on
a
that.
chance.
It does mean there's a chance.
But more importantly, honestly, like it's less about, I mean, it's important to see American, obviously, but it's more about like, how do we look in that first game, you know? Like, what are the things that you're looking for to see in that first game from us?
Mark Armstrong.
I want to see the players. No. So it's interesting. Like, I always want to see the guys look comfortable in the pavilion. Like, that's to me, like, always like a thing that I look for in the first game. Like, even last year, I think we played LaSalle in our first game, and it was a 13-point win. It was kind of comfortable. I think it was like 18 for a good amount of the second half, and then kind of ended at 13. I don't think it was ever like – I don't think we were ever at risk, so to speak, in that second half of that game. But it was, as I think back on it and like put it in the context of the season that happened, there was some disjointedness. There was some discomfort. Given all the transfers, I would like to see a comfort level in this game. Like, obviously they got to come out strong. They got to come out hot, but I'd like to see us kind of put this game kind of, I don't want to say away after the first half, but like pretty close to away after the first half, and then be able to kind of not coast, because that's not the right word that I'm trying to use, but basically like control the second half, like do what they want in the second half. And like when I think of like the great Villanova teams of the last 10 years, they had just this special way of being able to assert control and then maintain that level of control especially when they had their best teams. So like, that's like the more broad-based thing, but I would like to see, I'm obviously very eager to see Burton Bamba Hart in a Villanova uni. I'd like to see a little bit of Hausen have maybe 2 or 3 threes. Just to show his 5. Okay. Like I'm saying at least, so, you know, just to show that level of comfort on his level. And to Trevor's point, Armstrong, to me, Mark Armstrong is critical. How many minutes is he going to get? How in control of the offense is he? Or is this a Mark Armstrong is the guy off the bench and Moore is the guy who carries the ball up the floor for most of the critical minutes of the game? That's I want to see all those things.
I want to see kind of how the team defense looks together too. Obviously, we kind of mentioned it earlier. That's kind of the thing that tends to hold guys back in getting minutes and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to see who's into the system and knows where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be, especially against an opponent that we shouldn't have to worry about too much in terms of athletes on the other end of the floor and size and things like that. I'd like to see Nana get some minutes. Lance Ware, those guys. I'm excited to see live basketball that counts and isn't a secret.
Willie?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm like everything you said. I really want to see what Njoku's role is, what Lance Ware's role is. I want to see what these backup bigs look like. We spoke about Eric and his ability to play the 5 and then also to play the 4. I want to see like what those lineups look like. So it kind of comes down to Kyle, honestly, and I want to see what he throws out there in that first game. What are the different combinations? Is he substituting after the first 3 minutes? I'm going to assume Armstrong starts, but then is it like how quickly are we bringing? I assume Hakeem Hart, but it could be Jordan Longino. It could be Hausen as the first person off the bench. I'd be shocked if it was anyone else other than one of those 3 as the first person off the bench. But I want to see what those different lineup combinations are because we have a lot of versatility. Like you could conceivably throw out a lineup of Longino, Hart, Bamba, Ware, Dixon, and it's just like really long and like kind of incredibly switchable. And I want to see like what those things that Kyle does is. So this is, I think, I don't know if anyone saw. I know we saw it, but I don't know if anyone saw Kyle's interview. With the Field of 68 at MSG during Big East Media Day.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle seemed so different, so comfortable in his own skin. I feel like comfortable in year 2. I wanted to see if that translates to on the court, where he's able to put his own stamp on it. Once again, we're always going to play Villanova basketball, but I want to see if Kyle puts his own stamp on it, and this first game is a chance to do that versus, in theory, a lesser opponent and a chance to kind of do that in front of the fans. I am sure we are probably to the point of like coming out to a strong start. I will be so on cloud 9 if we come out and it's like an 18-0 game to start. I'm fully expecting the first 6 minutes, it's going to be like 14-11 and everyone's going to be like, oh God, what's happening? And then they'll work it out and they'll figure it out. And then we'll roll from there.
I have to point this out only because this is a thing that Rob Dormish would have loved. But I'm looking at American schedule. So they play Villanova, William and Mary, Siena, NJIT, Georgetown, Mount St. Mary's. All teams that we've heard of, right? Whatever. They are playing a team on Sunday, November 26th that's named Hood. Hood. Hood.
You familiar with Hood College, baby?
America versus the Hood.
This is Bishop Sycamore type stuff here. What's going on here?
Hood College sent me so many letters in the very beginning of my college. Whenever, like when you took the PSATs and Hood College sent me about.
Were they like recruiting you to join their basketball team?
No.
Yeah.
They didn't need that. They didn't want that 7 points a game on 25% field goal shooting.
Not efficient, Willie?
Not efficient.
So that was just one anecdote I wanted to point out. So I hope for everybody listening that they can tune into Americans game versus Hood.
I'm going to speak up for the Hood alumni. I respect you, Hood alumni, and if you were listening to this, I wish I was one of you.
There's always time.
Yeah, I can honestly go back. Yeah,
you can go back.
You could tell my dad that he really wants me to get my MBA. So we'll say, Dad.
This is a poll. This is a poll from like 2019 when we played Kansas at KU.
Mm-hmm.
But we were looking ahead at the season, and we were doing a Big East. I don't know who is
not me.
Who is in an ambulance?
Not me.
I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it might be you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that ambulance is coming after you because you dissed Hood University, bro.
The streets are calling.
That was a mistake.
We were in. Rob and I were in Kansas, and we were looking at our schedule to come and the Big East schedule, whatever. We're looking at Creighton in particular, and they had a game versus Ben Medigi State or some shit like that. And Rob and I were absolutely
Bemidji State, bro.
Bemidji State.
It's in Minnesota. It's a good hockey school.
We were absolutely obliterated on that podcast, and just having a field day with that. But yeah, so I would like to see a Hood Ben Medigi State
NIT
matchup.
championship.
There you go.
Well,
no, they can't play in the
not
NIT.
anymore.
Right,
Not allowed.
Right.
Not allowed.
Villanova ruined the NIT for everybody.
Rob's in the comments like, I remember this. I was so wasted. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna win the first game. Is that the prediction here? Are we all kind of agreeing on this?
We better.
I will go and say we will win the first game. I'm on record for that, and if we lose, everyone can look at me. Right? I'll take the post game stand instead of Kyle, and I'll take the line.
Of the games in the first week, I'm a little bit more worried about Lemoyne.
So Like, here's like the weird thing. So for anyone who is unfamiliar, Lemoyne was a D2 team. They are now going to be D1. This will be their second D1 game, official D1 game. They've played D1 games because they'll play up, whatever. Their first game is versus Georgetown, where like, I don't know. I don't know. But like, I think just to take it a step back, I think people always think, oh, it's a new D1 team. Like, they're not going to be good. That's not necessarily the case. I think the last two D2 teams to come up were Merrimack and I believe Lindenwood.
Both Merrimack was good.
Yeah, both of which finished at the top 2 of their conference. So like, there's a chance. And Lemoyne
Merrimack was supposed to go to the tournament, but
yeah,
exactly.
Participate. Yeah,
which is the stupidest rule in the world.
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, Merrimack not making that tournament allowed Fairleigh Dickinson to make the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Is that my remember? Yeah. Fucking ridiculous.
Which
exactly.
We all know how that ended for Purdue. You got to watch out for those D2 teams, especially our friends in the Big East and Big East of old. Louisville dropped a tough one this week to a D2 team. St. John's had issues. Is Pace D1 or D2?
They're D2.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the D2. It's
and so, let me say they're small, but Lemoyne returns grad transfer, senior, grad transfer. Whether that's us or Georgetown, that's a team that's not going to back down. Like, that's who they return in their starting 5 or their projected starting 5. Then they have a grad transfer off the bench, and then like there's some sophomores and juniors, but like they're old. They're like kind of just the good teams. A good team. Oh, Stonehill was the other team I was thinking about. And also like a lot of teams in the NEC have left. So like there's just like opportunity to kind of like take a hold of it. Maybe they get the doors blown off by us in Georgetown and they figure it out a little bit earlier in the year. But like this is a team that's going to be looking to make a statement in their first couple of games. And they have 2 historic programs to do it in front of. I say that this isn't March. They haven't had a chance to coalesce. We should run them off the floor. Just terms from talent to talent. But in general, I would not be surprised if we see this team even like during the season, like you're like, oh crap, they're like in contention for the NEC. Now they won't be able to make the tournament because of stupid archaic rules that the NCAA needs to change. But I think it's going to be a really like cool game. I'm excited to see Lemoyne, just like the Dolphins there, which is a hilarious team name. I don't like it works for the NFL. Dolphins doesn't work for college basketball. I'm sorry, Lemoyne. I'm sorry, Jacksonville.
It also doesn't work from Syracuse, New York.
Yes. Also, it doesn't work from Syracuse, New York. Like you're not like
Miami Dolphins make sense. That's like an oceanic kind of school. Like it's kind of there. Like
there's that meme. What the hell a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? What the hell's a dolphin doing in Syracuse, New York?
Yeah.
But they're going to be like they're an interesting team. I'm excited to see I'm excited just to see them. I love when I see like D2 teams can become D1 and then like their growth and all that stuff. That's just like super interesting to me. So I'm excited to be a part of like their early story, and we'll see where it ends up from.
I like them if we lose. I mean, if we win.
Oh
yeah. If we lose, I will take the stand once again, and
If we lose, we're definitely a part of their early story. So careful what you wish for there.
Yeah.
No, I hope we hit them with the train. That's pretty much it.
But we are going to do another podcast before the Lemoyne game, so we're not previewing that. We're just talking about how Lemoyne's more scary than American.
Yeah, no, we'll talk more about Lemoyne. And honestly, by that time, they would have played Georgetown, so they will be.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that game.
They'll be 1-0.
They'll be 1-0.
Right in the hot
2
street.
undefeated teams match up in the pavilion on a Friday night. Cool. So we've got the first game in the books.
Yeah.
And so we think we're going to beat the American Eagles.
Yep.
That's terrible. Their name shouldn't be the Eagles.
Who came first? I think the answer might surprise you. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to look it up, actually.
Trevor's just like saying BuzzFeed articles.
I don't know who he's talking about.
Well,
anyway.
I'm trying. Like, it might be one of those things that this is like, a very old store that. Never mind. 1977. I assume the university came first. Take back everything I said. Cut that.
So leave it on the cutting room floor on our live session. So one other thing that I'll just say is pace.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about St. John's. I'm talking about the pace, the tempo that we play at. So that's definitely something that I'm particularly interested in, right? Like, because last year we played slow under Jay Wright. We always played slow, except for 2018, right? With the depth of this roster, like, I think Fanta said it, this could be Villanova's deepest. I'm not saying it's top end best, but deepest roster that we've had in the last 10 plus years. I'm just struggling to think of another team that's as deep as this, at least as of this moment. And like could go 9-10 deep.
Yep.
You would think that would get, at least on paper, a slightly higher pace because you could sub a little bit more. You have more options. You got to get more guys playing time and in the flow of the game. So you would think that might come to pass, but I am curious to see, is it going to be walk the ball up the court and take all 30 seconds of shot clock? Or is it going to be, hey, let's move a little bit and see what's coming to pass with this team?
If Mark takes a little bit of a leap, I don't know how we can walk the ball up the court. We're just putting like chains on a greyhound. Like, you got to let him run. So if like, we know Justin is methodical and that'll happen. So like, even if like we're not actively being slow, the pace will be slower when Justin has the reins. But like when Mark's on there, I'd imagine we're gonna let him run just a little bit, especially if he takes that leap as like a floor general to know when to stop it, because that's the thing that he'll need to work on. Is like, when do I push and when do I like make everybody run with me in transition? And when do I slow down and I recognize, all right, we don't have an advantage, we don't have numbers, and I slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that's the train I was mentioning earlier. I want to see us run. I think it'll be fun. We have athletes. We have a lot of athletes. Eric, for his size and everything, he gets up and down the floor really well, and he can also hit that trailing three. So I agree. I think it'll be fun basketball to watch, even if it's a little sloppy at the start. And I kind of just, after last year, I just kind of want to have fun.
I want to have fun. I want to see the team have fun.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Just having some fun. If this is a fun season, that'd be cool.
We do have an interesting out of conference schedule that I want to get to more broadly, like talk about it a little bit more broadly. But I do want to talk a little bit. There's been actually for the last 2 weeks of October, there's actually been a good amount of college basketball news and notes, especially the Big East. I did a space with other Big East schools on Monday. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you listen into that, you got to learn a little bit about each team and each program and what people think is going to shake out.
The various mental health statuses of Twitter personalities that you interact with.
Yep.
Yeah. So I do want to talk a little bit about some of the news and notes, so to speak. Especially, we had Big East Media Day in the intervening period as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. So let's stay with the Big East, or stay home with the Big East for now. So Villanova was picked 4th by the coaches in the conference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Marquette was number 1, Creighton 2, UConn 3, Villanova 4, St. John's 5.
Yeah, that was a top 5.
And then I forget, it was Providence or Xavier. And then kind of like the whatever, Georgetown, Butler, Seton Hall, DePaul, and whatever order that was. But that was kind of how the coaches picked it. Justin Moore was first preseason Big East first team. Eric Dixon, preseason Big East second team. And Tyler Kolek was projected to repeat his honor of Player of the Year. So that was kind of some of the news and notes from Big East Media Day. But we did get to, I guess, let me just stop there. Do you guys like that order? Do you guys feel good about that? Like, who's your dark horse Big East team? Who's your team that you think is overrated? Let me have it.
You can go first, Willie.
I got some takes. I don't mind it if I'm being like fair and objective. I don't mind it. The first thing I have is I get why Kolek won preseason Player of the Year. I just don't see it, and I don't think it's going to happen 2 years in a row. I'm much more putting my money on, like, I don't even know that I believe that Justin will do it, but like I'm honestly putting my money around like Bryce Hopkins like carrying a Providence team to like a 10 or 9 seed, and it's like, yeah, this is Bryce Hopkins as player of the year. That's kind of my early prediction. In terms from a team standpoint, like I have no issues with calling Marquette number 1. They returned basically everyone except for Omax. Shaka's got them humming. Creighton took a step back. It's like I understand why UConn took a fall, but like it's, I don't want to say disrespectful, but like that's still
it feels disrespectful.
Yeah, it's a reloaded.
They're also a 1 point difference, I think, between. There's like a 1 point difference in the coaches poll between us and them, which I think that is not a realistic gap right now, at least on paper right now. Like that's tough.
Yeah. So I don't know. I take UConn as like they're not my dark horse. It's UConn's to lose again. That's what I think. I'm just gonna roll with UConn as like my projection for number 1. I'm not gonna lie. I think the dark horse is us, of like, and the dark horse in the way of like to like take the conference outright. I think we have that ability. The other dark horse I have is Providence, like taking a step and being like not they were voted 7, but like Providence being like 5. The ones I'm leaning overrated. I'm sorry to say it, I just don't buy Creighton. They have all the talent in the world. I think they are a tournament team. You know what? Put me down as a Kalkbrenner hater.
Oh wow,
get a job.
Wow, Willie pulling out the UConn insult. Kalkbrenner's just tall.
He's a fraud. No, he's. I mean, look, impact defender, but he can't handle slim dicks.
I love it.
So that's kind of I would say that's like, if I'm putting a hot take out there, like Creighton, I think if out of the top 4, Creighton's the one I'd be like, I wouldn't be shocked to see them like finish 4th, 5th, 6th, which is saying a lot because I know how good they are. Like I actually like genuinely do really, really like Trey Alexander, but I kind of thought Nembhard was the straw that stirred the drink. And like he's in Gonzaga. I think Trey's good. They lose Kaluma. Ashworth is going to be good. I like him a lot, but I don't know. I'm anti Creighton. That's all.
Okay. All right. Willie spoke. Trevor.
So while Willie was going through that, I looked at what the preseason poll was for the 2018-19 season just to see like what people thought of our team coming back that got absolutely gutted after a championship run. And we were selected as the coach's pick to win the conference. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous that, look, I know Marquette is a really good team, but don't sleep on UConn, as much as it pains me to say out loud and have that in the world. I like that's scary. And Hurley is that guy that's gonna plaster that on the locker room wall and be like, nobody believes in us. Like how dare that? We did all this with barely having all these 5-star guys come in, a great recruiting class, returning top performers, preseason All-American in Klingon. Nobody wins championships with 7-foot players anymore. It's just, look, this is a scary team, and they're going to be fine. They're going to pull the whole, everybody's giving us their best shot every night. Like, it's all the same, like, shtick that we used to say all the time. Just like, everybody's going to be coming for them. Sure, they might not have the same record as last year, but they're a good, scary team. And same thing with Marquette. I think we were ranked adequately. Like I agree with the coaches' rankings. I don't think the numbers are as close. Like I don't think this is going to be like a 16-2 conference champion or whatever, whatever it shakes out to. I think it's going to be like a 13 or 14 win team maybe. So we'll see what happens. I don't really know what's going on with like Seton Hall and Butler and all that. Like, I think all that's pretty adequate. Georgetown, I'm not expecting much from, honestly. Yeah, they have Ed Cooley and they got a couple transfers, but it takes a lot to right that ship after what it's been through. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say on it. I watch out for UConn. They're a wagon.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add about UConn, just like before, is like I just don't know how many teams with two, like, all right, you all know, like, I'm really into the draft. In my early rankings, Stephon Castle is like my number one pick. Now, this draft is like, just a quick aside, is a weird draft where like it's kind of flat. There's no one like that great at the top, but there's a bunch of like interesting players. And of all my early scouting I've done, like Castle's my number one pick. Like he's a big combo guard who's going to probably end up being a lead guard in the NBA. He's super interesting. And then you have Klingon, who like we've seen how the NBA is like slowly turning back towards big men. And like Klingon can do what Walker Kessler's done. And Walker Kessler's success is going to make Klingon be drafted higher. Like Klingon could go, you could tell me Klingon goes 9 next year and I wouldn't be surprised. So like you have 2 top 15 level picks on the team. That's a returning champion that has deep guards. Like, it's I think that's right. Really
that's to say nothing of Caravan, who was a close second to Whitmore for freshman of the year last year. That's to say nothing of
an insane
Tristan Newton, who was a good point guard for them down the stretch.
Yep.
Like,
now we say all that, but they also got their shit handed to them in the Big East. So who knows? Like maybe it'll happen again. But
yeah, look, I think that's the one point that Willie just made that makes their preseason ranking of maybe not the top dog in the conference as like somewhat more legit, is because Hurley said last year during the middle of conference play, I don't think we're best suited for conference play. I think we're best suited for out of conference play. And like, so when people usually say that, I'm like, all right, this is setting up for a pretty embarrassing March Madness run. But I actually kind of believe it, because Hurley just runs scheme after scheme after scheme after scheme after scheme, constantly throwing planned action. His playbook has to be miles long. And so I think with Big East teams who are comfortable, who see them 2 to 3 times a year, you kind of know what he's going to run after a little while, so you can kind of game plan that a bit more. I think that there's some truth to the notion that in conference they might be a little bit a step again, might be a national championship contending team, very much have a national championship contending team, but also might take some lumps in the conference. Yeah. I think that's the only reasonable kind of approach to that, because otherwise I kind of agree that I'm really struggling with why UConn wouldn't be more higher ranked. Like, yeah, and I do agree. I was between Creighton and Marquette. I think Marquette is probably pretty close to getting found out in the league with Shaka now 2 years in, and people kind of knowing what he runs, and they're returning a lot of the same guys. Now, granted, you could say all these guys take a step up and they're going to be that much better. But Omax made that helped him stir that drink last year. And I could see Marquette not winning. Like, it wouldn't be crazy to say that they're not going to win the conference and the tournament again this year. So like, to take a step back for Marquette wouldn't be like an embarrassment. It would just be kind of normal. And then I kind of do agree with Creighton. I will slightly push back a little bit on that notion, just a tad, but I do agree that I think that they might be slightly overrated. I was going to say, though, who do you think will be the coach of the year? And I was listening to Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander's pod recently, and they were talking about the Big East, and they were saying like, oh, well, if Shaka wins, then it has to be Shaka. But they said like, well, what if Rick Pitino gets them to like 3rd or 4th in the conference, and St. John's returns to the tournament as like a top 6 seed? Like, he's definitely going to be coach of the year, right, in the conference. He probably will be coach of the year in the conference.
Yeah, if St. John's is decent, it's Pitino. There's just
That's so tired though. Like, yes, we get it. He's one of the best coaches of all time. Like, cool, he's back. Cool, but like, don't just give him gratuitous coach of the year. Like, in my coach of the year is someone like he has that expectation to bring them there.
Yeah,
Filling your expectation doesn't make you coach of the year. Coach of the year is somebody that either goes above and beyond and clears everything and wins. A lot of years it kind of felt like, I guess Jay Wright wins again. Just like it's hard not to give coach of the year to the guy who goes 16-2 in conference play. So, I'm out for giving Pitino the, oh my God, they did so well getting back to a respectable program. Like he brought in all these guys. It's different college basketball that, they threw the checkbook out there. They got all these guys. Pitino brought in who he wanted to bring in. He kept a player of the year candidate in Soriano. Like he has the tools. Unless he is winning the conference or makes a run in the conference tournament, like I don't really want to hear the noise for coach of the year for him. Like do something that you're not expected to do, and then we can talk. Like Kim English. That if Kim English does that, then that's a coach of the year. I will wave that flag for him if he does something like that. But it's Rick Pitino. He's considered one of the best coaches in college basketball of the past 20 years. He's multiple national champion. Like, come on.
Yeah. I will put out that you mentioned the name. You already said it. So I think Kim English is a dark horse to win coach of the year.
Yeah, that would be my statement.
And it's for the reasons that you kind of just articulated, Trevor, but also because I think they were picked. I might be wrong. I think it was 7th in the conference by the coaches. It could be 6th. It might be 7th. First of all, ranking Xavier over Providence is like just purely a coach ranking. Like you're just looking at it and saying Kim English was kind of like middle of the pack in the 8-10. So, and Sean Miller. But if you actually look at the rosters, I'm struggling with Xavier a lot right now, and it's not their fault. They're so injured. It's insane. They don't have Fremantle, and they don't have blanking at the moment.
Did he graduate? Is that
no?
Wrong?
It's the guy with the Jerome Hunter. They don't have that's like the guy with the fan club. But they don't have those guys. So how are they going to? I'm struggling with this, and they lost so much from a team that made the Sweet 16. Do I think Sean Miller will find a way to get Xavier into the tournament? Yeah, I do think so because he's Sean Miller. But I'm struggling in the conference to say like they have a really good shot of losing like first few games of the conference because they're still trying to figure out who the fuck they're going to go to for like points on the team. They've lost everybody, and so again, not their fault. Then you have Providence, whose team is good, right? Like on paper, Bryce Hopkins, the player of the year candidate, arguably could have been player of the year. I think was probably the front runner for player of the year before Kolek just really Kolek and Marquette finished really strong. But
Devin
like
Carter, I think will take a leap too.
Yeah, Carter's good. They got Oduro coming in. This is a good team. You look at that roster, it's like it's got decent amount of depth, but not too much depth, so to speak. Like, and the other thing too, with when you're playing in the AMP, dunk, whatever, right? Like you're gonna win just like 6 games without any team that you roll out there.
Yeah,
any team that you roll out there. Yeah.
If you drill holes in your roof, you will win.
But you are going to win a bunch of games just playing in that arena. So right there, I'm counting him for a minimum of 6 wins, which he'll definitely get more than that. And then he's going to win 5 games on talent. They're going to be 11, 12 win team. And I agree with Trevor that this is probably a 14, 15 win team who wins the conference. So you could have Providence be, if they get 12 wins, they're probably going to finish top 4, top 5, get a bye. That's probably good for coach of the, that might be good enough for coach of the year, given the preseason expectations are.
I don't disagree. If I was voting, I would, as a preseason, I would say English, especially if they have a decent season. I do want to change, not topics, but just what does Cooley have to do
to win coach of the year?
To win coach of the year.
He has to make the tournament.
He has to beat Providence.
Yeah. If he wins, if he makes a tournament and wins at the AMP, then
all right.
Yeah.
He has to survive the Providence game.
He wins coach of the year if he comes out alive.
Yeah.
Coronavirus.
like that's another thing. I don't know where the realistic expectations are for Georgetown. Like I said, they've like it's when you're that bad for that long, and then you get the big name coach who brings I don't even know he brought in Epps and who else? Like I don't know. They got some guys, but I have no idea. Like we're talking about they might lose to Lemoyne. Like
Yeah.
I
you know.
I have Georgetown finishing last in the conference. I'm putting that on record. I realize that could blow up in my face that we could lose to them, but like
That's a fun blow up in my face kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I think that would be hysterical.
I got them last in the conference. But like, here's the weird thing: they could absolutely win 4 games, and it'd be a massive step forward for the program.
Yeah.
And still finish last in the conference.
Yeah. That's like when this is like a DePaul situation almost from a couple years ago when all of a sudden it wasn't like you sleep on DePaul. Now we're talking about like, hashtag ranked DePaul is coming up. But
It's ranked DePaul season, baby.
Yeah. I like Georgetown, DePaul finishing higher than Georgetown. I'll ride that horse with you, Chris.
Willie's upset. Willie doesn't want to buy it. Willie so badly wants to make Georgetown a thing again.
I want Georgetown to happen again.
Sure, but it's not going to happen overnight. Like I think this is the similar thing. Like the question was like, what does Ed Cooley have to do for coach of the like? Yeah, he has to make a tournament or has to make the tournament, but
he has to make the tournament as an at-large. Obviously, because you don't get voted on it if you do it in the tournament.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I don't know. For me, like Big East Coach of the Year is all about surpassing your expectations. Like I don't know what to expect from them. Like
as of right now, they have less talent than Ewing had there, but obviously a wildly better coach.
Right. In theory, I don't know. Let's see if it's the building.
Willie's just steaming. Willie's steaming over there. He's so pissed. Willie, where do you have Georgetown?
I have them I have them above Butler and DePaul. That's where I would put them right now.
Right below Seton Hall.
Below Xavier. I have Seton Hall above Xavier.
Okay.
Seton Hall is a team that I'm struggling with, but like so is the coaches. So I'm not like it's not really worth a full discussion. But like the team from the bottom of the pack that I think, like the very bottom of the pack that I think could surprise is probably Butler-ish. Like there's some talent there. And again, I go back to the arena that they play in. But like Hinkle Fieldhouse is good for 5 wins. Like so like, could you 5 and eke out a couple more, and then all of a sudden you get 8-9 wins, and then all of a sudden you're middle of the road in the conference, like, and wind up with a 7 seed in the Big East tournament. Like you could envision that, right? Like Georgetown's not going to have any people in the arena unless they start out really hot.
Yeah.
Seton Hall is not the easiest place to play, but not a terribly difficult place to play.
They have a pretty good home court, I feel like.
A decent home court. It's not blow you away home court. It's it's probably a step above Wells Fargo, a step below the Finn. It's and then other than that, I'm struggling, right? Like DePaul doesn't really have a good home court, right? Like, I mean, the arena's nice, but the fans don't really show. So I'm struggling with any of those other teams pulling it together. Like, I'm just thinking, like, realistically, like when the coaches vote Providence 7th, I struggle with that because I'm just like, you coaches know how tough it is to play at that arena, right? And the same thing is with Butler. So like, it's fucking really hard to play in those places. You know that they're going to sneak out a couple wins that they probably shouldn't because they're who they are. Butler beat Xavier last year in Hinkle, and that team was ass last year. So I just think that they will. So we don't need to talk too much more about the dregs of the Big East.
So if we're done with the Big East, do we want to take a look at the non-con here?
Yeah, I'm in.
So I don't want to run. I'll run through the games that we have non-conference, and what I'm curious for you all is like, what game are you most excited to see? We're not going to do like a individual game by game preview nor predictions, but I would like overall season predictions at some point. But would just like to kind of run through And what game are you excited? So we start off on November 6th with American. Then November 10th we go to or we have Lemoyne. Then Monday, November 13th, we play at Penn at the Palestra. Then we're at home in the Finn versus University of Maryland. Kevin Willard comes back to the Finn. Then we have the Battle for Atlantis, where we start off with Texas Tech, and then we will face the winner or loser, depending on how we do, of North Carolina or UNI. And then the last game, I believe it's either, and help me out, I believe it's either Arkansas, Memphis, and
UNC's in there.
UNC is the second game.
Okay.
Yeah, the schedule just says TBD. So
Yeah,
whoever that is.
it's on whoever's on the other side of the battle for Atlantis. And off the top of my head, it's Arkansas, Memphis, and give me a second.
We could get a final
I'm
against
gonna give you the
Javon
other
Quinterly.
We could.
I want that game.
Arkansas, Memphis, Michigan, or Stanford. Those are the four on the other
Well,
side.
it won't be Stanford.
So yeah, won't be Stanford. But those are the ones we could see. Arkansas did just beat Purdue in an exhibition, but still they beat Purdue. So we have those games, and then we have St. Joe's at home at the Finn, and then we have the Big Five Classic, which will be Temple, Drexel, LaSalle. One of those three is who we're going to play. Then we go on the road to Manhattan, not New York, Kansas, where we play Kansas State. And then we have UCLA at home, the return of our home and home game. And that, I believe, wraps up, our non-conference play. So out of those, what would you say you're most excited to see? What game are you kind of like, this will be interesting, curious for y'all?
The game I'm most excited for is probably, it's like somewhat unpopular, probably going to be an unpopular answer, but it's UCLA for me. And my reasoning for that is it's our last non-conference game versus a good opponent and a good coach. So like for me, I'm most excited for UCLA because I think that's going to be an actually good test for this team right before we enter in Big East play and have to go to Omaha to play Creighton. So that's my game that I'm most excited about. But when I look at the non-conference schedule, I like how it lays out for us. It's, 2 games that we get to play against, 3 games that we get to play against competition that we should be able to handle pretty comfortably. And then a good test, but at home versus Maryland. Like I just like I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. The cadence of the out of conference schedule feels like a cadence that is healthy for this squad, right? Like last year got jumbled. It got ugly quick. We played right into the Big Five schedule, which I didn't love, rivalry game from the tip. Lost that tough game versus Temple. And then it just kind of got like, it was just like it spiraled. And then the moment we got a week to kind of like get a little bit healthier and rest, we come back and beat Oklahoma and start to re-inject some hope into the season. And it kind of laid out a little bit better. This lays out a little bit more like, okay, we can gain a little bit of momentum here before we play some tougher games. With that said, I think the battle for Atlanta should be a ton of fun. I look for us to win, not go 0-3. Like that'd be great. But I don't think we will. I think we'll be quite good. And the thing that I'm pumped about is I think that Battle of Atlantis will be good for a team that needs some pieces to gel together because of newcomers. And so teams say it all the time, like, hey, getting out for that MTE, that turkey tournament, and spending some time together on the road during the holiday or whatever, when everyone else is eating turkey and whatever, and we got to kind of like chill and the temperature was cooled down a little bit, and we got to like focus on ourselves and grow as a unit, was helpful to them in the season. Like everyone always talks about that. They talk about that, and they talk about the Christmas break as like 2 breaks where it like really helps them. That to me is like a key moment, a key inflection point in the early part of the season. But all that said, I'll come back to my original answer. UCLA being like the final exam of out of conference season is the game I'm most excited about.
I'm excited for Maryland. It's always fun to see Kevin Willard. The turkey tournament games, Battle for Atlantis always just kind of has a weird vibe. It's in that like ballroom. I don't know. Those games are kind of like hit or miss for me. I'm excited about the potential opponents. Sure, like those would be fun games. You can't go 0-3 there. Playing UNC would be fun. Seeing Quinterly on the other side, if Memphis lines up, would be cool. Michigan rematch would be fun. They're all great games. I think Kansas State will be a really good test. They had a big run last year, right?
Elite
Eight.
Yeah, they lost a couple of those guys, but that's going to be a tough game to win. So I think for me early on is Maryland, and then Chris, I agree with you, UCLA, and then that's like the last game before a big break. We have like 2 weeks or something before the Big East schedule starts after that for us. So I think Maryland early, and then the UCLA finale. Kansas State, I'm worried might be ugly, but you never know.
For me, I kind of am on the team of Kansas State. That's something I'm really excited for. They just got a really fun team. They have one of my favorite players in college basketball, in Naquan Tomlin, who also just did get suspended for, I believe, fighting or DUI, one of the two. I can't remember what he got. So we'll see. He's suspended indefinitely. Don't know if that means we'll see you next week or if it means we'll see you in January. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. But I really like him. He's really versatile. So I was hoping to watch him play because I would love the idea of him matching up versus Dixon. And then the next thing I'm going to say is actually what I see this question from Nova 9876 was actually the next thing I'm most excited for is the Big Five tournament. I actually am genuinely excited for the idea of everyone, all the schools being there on that Friday or Friday. I can't remember what day of the week it is. Saturday. On that Saturday and seeing this play out. Like it's the first time we're ever doing anything like this. I think it's really going to be really cool. The triple header on the day, people are going to be tailgating. For me, it's less about the individual games, but more about like, I am proud of the Big Five for like recognizing something needed to change and like taking a swing. It might fall flat on its face, but I'm proud of them for taking a swing at it. I like how this is set up. So I'm actually am genuinely excited to see that and just see how that like atmosphere and how everything lines up there. Because if this like hits and it connects and like they really make this a thing, like this will be cool. Like once again, other schools, other cities have plenty of college basketball teams all on top of each other, and they don't do anything like this. Like Indianapolis has the Crossroads Classic.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think they got rid of it though. I don't think they do it anymore.
They did? Okay. Well then, yeah.
I could be wrong.
So like they have that, but like I love this idea of it. I like how they've set it up. It's a way to make it fresh. So I am excited to see like what happens from there.
I'm nervous about it.
Why?
Not because I think we're going to lose, but because I'm nervous that they set it up and they're not going to invest in it in the way they need to. And why I say that is from our perspective as Villanova fans, like, look, we are very, very lucky. Like the things that we complain about, like our admins not doing or whatever, are like things that like if other schools like St. Joe's or whatever, and it's not an insult to them, saw what we did, they'd be like, holy crap, you guys have it so good, right? Like, but like even things like because of the last few Final Fours, like our fans know kind of how to do it. We know how to operate in Wells Fargo Center for a college basketball game, right? Like we kind of know the infrastructure. We kind of know and like have a routine down for it. We kind of like it sounds so simple, but it's like stuff like that. Plus the administrations, like Villanova knows how to throw a pregame party, like an official pregame party now for like a big game. Mm-hmm. Right, like because at those Final Fours we throw the pre-games and whatever. Like so, Villanova knows how to organize some of this stuff, right? The other schools are like just don't know how to do all this stuff. So unless Villanova is like leading the charge and like telling everyone, no, this is how you do it, this is how we do this, and whatever. And there's a team of people who are going to set up like I'm thinking of it like they should the parking lot for Wells Fargo that day should be like the Final Four fan fest. If you've been down to the Final Fours, like they should have like legends from the Big Five, like signing autographs, right? Like, the Jameer Nelson should be there signing autographs, right? Like it should be like a whole thing where like there's kids, and then there's cornhole tournaments between Villanova fans and LaSalle fans. Like there should be like a number of different like festivities that make the day like really fun, and a big to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit nervous with like a triple header that you're going to have one ticket to, that like you're going to have to figure that all out. And then the thing that they have to do, and I assume that they will get this part right, for student sections, they need to like basically bus students in and then remove them when their team's finished, right? Like again, like a Big East tournament session. But like, so it's like a whole investment process that needs to happen. And only because I haven't seen a whole lot of marketing on this yet, I'm at this point a little bit nervous that they're not going to invest what they need to get this right.
I think the student section is a really good point too, because if you remember, they split, at least for Villanova games at Wells Fargo, they funneled the student section to one side now, and they I think I'm remembering that right. Like they just sold season tickets to everybody on the other side where like the media sits, because that's like the access to the halftime lounge and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see what the plan is for student section for that. I wonder if they take up another section in the lower bowl for that. That's a good point. I think Temple kind of knows how to do it with the tailgates because they play their football games at the Link. I don't know how crazy those get on Saturday mornings in the fall, but like I'm not worried about Temple so much as like, yeah, LaSalle and St. Joe's and Drexel. But you never doubt kids from Philly and Philly area schools being able to put a party together.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of like, just get a bus and put them out there. Let them be wild and free. We'll figure it out. Give them, just make sure there's water stations. The porta potties are open. We'll figure it out. Let them have a good time. Yeah.
I just worry that if Villanova's not in that championship, right? Like, sorry, if Villanova is in the championship, then like who is going? Like Villanova fans are going to buy out the tickets more than anybody else. Who's going to be sitting in that arena for the first game, or maybe even the large chunk of the second game? These are the little things that I'm like, you don't want that arena to come off dead. Look, they totally need to change it. I'm like all on board. When it came out, I was very high on this.
Yeah.
But they just need to they need to land the plane on this. And if it doesn't go well in year one, I'm worried about like the future implications, because Philly people talk, right? Like, and so if it's like whatever, Philly people are like, oh, it was fucking shitty. I didn't have fun, right? Like, and then people won't go, right? And it won't ever become a thing.
Which is why, to me, it's just like, it's Philly people. Just give them the parking lot, let them have fun, make sure that they can get into the game, let them go in and out. Like, I think that's actually a genuine thing. Like, let people filter in and out. Rescan them all the time.
Yeah, that's what if they could manage to do it so that you could leave and come back, that would be great, because like, yeah, maybe I want to see St. Joe's Temple at 11 a.m. because of whatever reason, but I want to go to Xfinity with my friends for a couple hours before the Nova game. Like, so if they could figure out a way to rescan or re-entry for people, or if you can buy individual game tickets instead of like a session pass, like that would be ideal.
Okay.
All right. So then does anyone else have anything? Because I want to get to like season predictions and just like, we got to put our stamp here. We got to call it out.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
We talked expectations.
We talked expectations, but
yeah, but now we got to do predictions. So
I need holding card. You know what I'm trying to say.
I think it's important that we set expectations again, just to say this in advance of saying predictions. Expectation for me for this year is that competitive bye in the Big East tournament and to be favored in the first round and be competitive and expected to be competitive in the second round. That's my expectation in terms of like what this team needs to be able to accomplish, or I'm going to be pretty pissed off about how this year transpired. In terms of my prediction, I've gotten a little bit of whispers in my ear, and I'm starting to buy shit, and I'm like getting a little bit too amped up. Season's about to start, and now now my prediction for the season is going to get a little bit of a hot take. Is that I think this second weekend team, I think this is like I'm starting to get high on my own supply here a little bit, and I'm like, this second weekend team, this is a team that could absolutely threaten to make the Final Four. I'm kind of the belief that if Jay Wright was the coach, that we'd be voted top 5, 6 in the whole country to start the season. And so obviously Jay Wright is not the coach, so it's a very large caveat to this whole thing. But I'm actually starting to get a little bit high on my own supply. I think my prediction is that out of conference might be like 8-3. You know, it might not be sterling silver, like in terms of out of conference performance, but in conference, I think this team very much can be 14-6, 13-7, 14-6, finish third in the conference. Be real hot, potentially get to a Big East tournament championship, and then Sweet 16, Elite 8, like absolutely with a threat to the Final Four. That's what I'm predicting. Like, and I realize that like that's a huge shift from where my expectations are, because I'm trying to keep my expectations where they should be. But I keep looking at the roster and I keep reading the tea leaves from what I'm hearing, from what's going on the main line, and I'm like, shit, this team's really fucking loaded.
Trevor, I'll go to you.
If we want to just talk like numbers, like, yeah, we're all drinking the same Kool-Aid right now. At least Chris and I are drinking the same Kool-Aid right now. Like, I don't know. Obviously I'm a fan of the program. I like, yeah, why wouldn't we go 40-0? I don't see a reason why not. No, I think there's 2 or 3 losses sprinkled into the out of conference. The Big East, as we know, and I said I wasn't going to say it, but we know the Big East is harder to win than a national championship. So I think, anywhere from 11 to 15 wins, in that range somewhere. I don't know if I average, I don't know, put us at like 22-9 before the Big East tournament starts. I don't know. And then I think we see what Justin Moore and Eric Dixon and these guys that are in their last year of playing college basketball can do. It's hard to, when you've seen what Jermaine and Colin were able to accomplish when it was like, hey, this is the last time we get to do this. You kind of get goosebumps, at least I do, thinking about like how much Justin Moore and Eric Dixon have put into this program and care about it. And it's just hard to imagine they won't go out on a high note. So yeah, put me down for, what did I say? 22-9. What is, ish. Before the Big East tournament. I'd like to make it to the semifinals. And then, second weekend. Let's go to, where is it this year? Phoenix? Let's go to Phoenix.
Phoenix is
Vegas.
No, Phoenix is the
it?
Final Four.
Okay.
Second weekends are in Boston, I think Vegas, actually. I can't remember.
Beantown, baby?
I don't think it's back in Vegas. It was in Vegas last year.
It was last year.
It was in Vegas last year? Okay. Yeah. I'll go to the Final Four. Twist my arm.
All right. Well, Chris, are you looking it up?
I am looking it up.
Okay. So while Chris is doing that, I say take a walk with me. Expectations, like my minimum expectation is that this is a tournament level team. That's like full stop. That's like my minimum expectation. My prediction, what I'm going to go on record as saying, is I'm going to break this down. We're going to go 10-1 in non-conference. It's going to be like, we're going to start 9-0. We're going to lose to Kansas State at Kansas State. We'll beat UCLA. We're 10-1 there. Big East, I'm putting us at 13-7 in Big East play. So we finish the regular season 23 and 8. I don't know if 13-7 wins the Big East. It probably doesn't, but that's where I'm going to put us at for the Big East. And then tournament, we'll say minimum semifinal. My prediction, I'm going to get real specific. We go to the Elite Eight and we lose heartbreakingly to Michigan State. That's my prediction. I'm ready to be hurt again is where I'm at.
On an Eric Dixon last second 3 attempt.
Same exact play. I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm over the Phillies. That's not true. But I'm ready to be hurt again. The Eagles will take care of me in that way. I'm not going to be hurt by the Sixers this year. I will not fall for that. So
Villanova, say, if you don't care, you can't get hurt.
Yeah, I will not fall for the Sixers, but Villanova, I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah.
Willie says Villanova is dancing on their own this year.
Oh my goodness. That's my prediction. So I'll see you in the round of 64 as we lose as a 9 seed to like Memphis. But like what? No, but actually, I do feel pretty good about this team. I like our age. Similar to what you said, Trevor, I think it's like a really good chance for Justin and Eric to write their endings the way that they need it, that they want to. Heck, like who knows what would have happened if Justin didn't tear his Achilles in that like Final Four.
We all know Kansas were frauds.
And so I'm at like, this is a second weekend level team. Obviously, like could lose in the Sweet 16, but like, yeah, I'm in. I think, but the prediction I'm actually going to lean more in. I was like, I think we're going to start off really strong, 10-1. That's what I'm putting it down. We're going to be 9-0. Talking heads are going to be like, should Villanova be ranked 1? They just ran through the battle for Atlantis, and I'm going to be like, yeah, we should be, and then we'll lose to Kansas State in an ugly game. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, like, not to bring it back to this because I'm tired of like this conversation, but this is really where you see what Neptune has. Because on paper, we've been talking about this. That's the entire offseason. It's like, well, on paper, they should like on paper. Yeah. Second weekend, this is a really good team. So it's time. And Chris, you said it earlier. If this was Jay Wright, people would be talking about national championship hopes. So I think this is kind of the show me year for Kyle. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready to be hurt.
I'm ready to be hurt again as a runner-up for
this episode
title. No doubt about it. We're ready to be hurt. East Regional Boston, South Regional Dallas, Midwest Regional Detroit, West Regional LA. So I think we can all agree that the goal here is to miss the Midwest Regional at all costs. I'll find going to Boston, Dallas, or LA.
I would love to be in Boston. That would be great.
Would be sick.
Make my commute easier.
Okay. So, what else? Is there anything else?
I think we covered everything that needs to be covered in the world of basketball.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Well, it's just like my favorite candy in general.
Okay.
Butterfingers.
Okay, man.
Butterfingers. Well, Halloween candy also implies like candy corn's a Halloween candy, but like
no, we're not talking about that.
All right, well, Butterfingers.
Butterfingers. Trevor?
My favorite candy is, you guys remember Now and Laters? I can't explain it, but I love Now and Laters. You don't really see those around Halloween, so I go for like the Sour Patch Kids, Sour Straw type of thing. Yeah, I saw somebody the other day on a podcast said Almond Joy, and so mark that down as a serial killer.
Yeah,
but
that's a total
mark me for Sour Patch Kids, etc.
Brian?
Holiday shaped Reese's peanut butter cups because the edges aren't as sharp, so they're easier to binge.
That's actually a really good. The
Christmas
trees
are the best ones. The pumpkins are a little too fat.
Yeah.
And the Easter eggs are nice. But I want there to be like one for every season. It's like a 4th of July one for the summer. and maybe like a pickaxe for Labor Day. So you have one for like July.
Hammer and sickle for Labor Day.
Right. Like, there should always be some, like Arbor Day is in April, so like right after Easter, maybe you have the tree.
I love that.
420, just a Reese's cup shaped as a weed leaf.
Yeah, leaf. You know, I mean, there's enough holidays out there that.
Yeah. How about a turkey? A turkey
Turkey
peanut butter cup.
What about you, Chris?
It's probably Reese's, but Kit Kat is right there. It's like 1A, 1B for me. So yeah, I struggle with the notion that it would be anything else.
Did you go trick-or-treating this year, Chris?
I did. I took my 2-year-old daughter trick-or-treating a little bit.
Did you take all the candy? How does that
I let her
work?
have a little bit.
How does that work when they're 2 years old? They don't even know.
They know that they're getting something, and they know what candy is, and they know that they don't really have it.
What did she dress up?
They're just kind of excited to be given something. What
did she dress up as?
She loves ice cream, and she has this toy where she can make ice cream, like fake ice cream cones for people, and so she loves that. So we actually got her a little like ice cream vendor.
Oh, that's cute.
It was adorable. She was hilarious, and it was cold out too. So I also put like I put her in a ski suit and then put the costume over it, so she just looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just like walking around the neighborhood like this.
I saw this one girl. She was a jellyfish. They just decorated an umbrella, and the girl was under the umbrella, and the dad was just walking around with it. And I was like, "That's incredible," because no one's really dressed up. Like, it wasn't raining, but it was cold. But I thought that was a good hack.
Chris, did you pair with the ice cream vendor?
I didn't.
You were like, no. I'm the dad.
Yeah. I'm the dad. Here I am. I'm the dad. At one point in time, my daughter looked at me and goes, "Dada, I want to go to Halloween." And I'm like, "You're in it. You're like, you're doing the thing.
This is Halloween.
This is Halloween.
Like, you're Halloweening. You've got it. You got it down."
You said, "I want to go to American."
Nope.
I want to go to Hood College.
I want to go to Hood College in Bemidji State. And Merrimack, Brian.
Can you tell me what the mascot is at Bemidji State, since you said you could name all 300 Division I mascots?
Well, it's not Division I, so
that certainly is Division I. How did they win a Division I college hockey national championship?
It is not Division I in college basketball. That much I can tell you.
I don't believe you.
Look it up.
I am asking Google, Elon Musk. I'm going to start with Twitter and then go from there. I mean, they have a website. Not a lot of D2 schools have a website. Yeah, they're D2. They're one of those grandfathered in schools for hockey, which Merrimack was until they got bumped up to. So.
Yeah.
And Johns Hopkins is for lacrosse.
Yeah.
Johnny Hopkins.
I smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins.
Yeah, but I'll take the loss on that one. Sorry.
And I definitely can't name all of them in Division I either, but
yeah, I mean 300 is too many to name.
We'll check the tape to see what you claimed.
Okay. All right. That's it. So we're gonna see you guys after the first game of the season. Here we are. Just get excited. We are here. We finally have fucking made it to the end of a very, very, very long off season. A weird off season for Villanova, but an interesting one nonetheless. And as we can all agree, we are ready to be heard again. So that's it. That's all we got for you guys here today on the Full 40. We will be back in a week to recap the American game, talk about Lemoyne, talk about Penn, so we can get started with the weekly episodes as the season starts. And again, one final plug, Home Field Apparel, code FULL40, FULL40 for 15% off. The jacket goes on sale on Sunday.
We'll be back on Monday holding up pictures of our jackets because I think it's like 2 to 3 day shipping. So episode 2 of the season, we'll be wearing our jackets.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And if we lose, I'll probably do a spaces because everyone's going to need that. So
if we lose, just catch me at the press conference. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. That's all we got. Thanks everybody for listening.
The fuck?
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. And as always, let's go Nova.